All right.
Does everyone have a whistle?
Don't worry.
How you doing, Mike?
Great. I'll collect the message. You'll take it out of your first game if you have it.
All right, so like you talked about, we're going to be dealing a lot with most of your in-game floor locations, positioning, that kind of stuff. We don't start the game at the jump ball. All right, there's a lot of things that must occur before we even get to a jump ball. All right, what are some of those things? What are we responsible to do or check?
Book starters.
The book, okay? All right, so again, at some point, book says 10. If it's a doubleheader, if you're doing a bunch of different games on a Saturday, church league, that kind of stuff, it may be at the 5-minute mark, okay? Again, make sure we're checking the book. Make sure we're asking them questions. Do they know and understand what they're doing, what they are responsible to do? Anything that we've seen or experienced in the past that we need extra help from them to do, that's the time for us to say, hey, new person on the book, new person at the table, here's how we can help each other. Because again, they are part of the officiating crew. So that's kind of the first and foremost thing that we need to focus on as soon as we get on the court. At some point, we're going to have to make contact with the table, make sure they know and understand all those things.
So with that, just make sure that when we are checking the book, what are we checking for, right? We're checking that Team A has 10 players dressed and they have 10 names in the book. We're checking that Team B has X amount of players dressed, X amount of numbers in the book. Do they have their starters designated, okay? Because there are penalties to that stuff not being done, right? If the book is not closed out by a certain time, in our game we have a technical foul. Okay, we don't want to start a game that way, right? So we have ways, as Josh was saying, we talk preventative officiating. Okay, by rule, the book says that the scorebook has to be closed out by the 10-minute mark, right? So any changes or updates or anything they do after that results in technical foul. So what I like to do when I'm the crew chief is I'm going to the book at the 12-minute mark, okay, and I'm going to check, hey, coach, you got 10 dressed, you only got 9 in the book. That gives them an opportunity, right? Whereas if we go there at 10 minutes and we have a problem, now we have no wiggle room, okay? So when you may hear the term preventative officiating, okay? So that's a way that we can be preventative to get our game started on the right foot. Do we want to start a game with a technical foul? Right? Just kind of throws us off a little bit. So just think about that, right? Think about not only checking the book, but what are we doing when we're over there? Okay.
All right. So once we finish checking the book, we've moved forward in our procedures. All right. Now we're ready for the jump ball. They've introduced the starters, or they've not. Okay. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. All right. Now we're ready for the jump ball. All right. So where is the positioning for the jump ball? Do y'all know, or do you just need us to tell you?
Should be
Two-person mechanics.
So for two, here, table side, and on top.
Okay. All right. So we've got our referee or our designated tosser on this side, opposite, so he can look at the table, and then you've got one person at the table getting ready to chop in the clock. All right. When we get to those positions, are we just going through the motions and tossing it, or do we need to make sure of things before we take that next step in this process? Okay, make sure everybody's outside the circle besides our two. Okay, good. What else? What else are we checking on?
Direction play for both teams.
Okay, make sure they're set up the right way. Okay, because they may have warmed up at the wrong basket. Okay, we don't want to start with the technical. We don't want us missing that they're facing the wrong direction. Okay? All right, so we're checking that. We talked about last week when people set up like this. Is this permitted? No. Okay. No, yeah, outside the circle. Okay? All right? So all those things that we are checking before we are getting ready to toss that ball. All right? So don't ever get in the habit of, here, ready, go. All right? There's other things that we are still responsible to make sure that before we start, we're getting that game off on a good foot, if that makes sense. All right? So we got everybody lined up. We can both kind of monitor and look at everybody around the circle. What things is our other referee talking about or discussing maybe with the table in regards to when to start the clock or those types of things?
Clock ready.
Is the clock ready? Okay. Are they ready?
Books ready.
Are the books ready? Correct. Anything else? Okay. So he's right beside the table. He can make sure we have all the people there that we need, that we don't have a little thing that starts the clock but nobody there to push the buttons, okay? All those types of things, so we can both be responsible for a lot of things out here, but he's kind of focused more on the table to make sure the table is ready so that we can do the toss, all right? All right? We've checked all those things. We've talked to the table. They're all good and ready. Now what do we do? We're ready to play. Okay?
Make sure the whistle's out of your mouth.
Okay, so Tim talked about it last week in reference to give a toot. Lots of people like to say what colors are going which direction. It should be pretty obvious. If the white shirt is here and the blue shirt is there, what direction they're going. That's up to you. I don't necessarily do that. We're facing that direction. I toot my whistle. I drop it out of my mouth like Al said. I step in, and depending on the game, I either go one hand or two hand, and I toss the ball.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And you have the off colors, like get purple, a lot of times you're saying blue, because we're not saying purple. Right, so are you talking about that pregame? Or are you saying that, because a lot of times that's when I say, like I said, it was so like for my partner and I to communicate, hey, this is what I'm calling blue.
I will try to do that ahead of time. A lot of times you if they have warm-up jacket on or a shirt, we may not see what color, so maybe it's during introduction when they come out and they don't have their warm-up on. We may say something here, but yeah, that would be another time that you could delineate, because if it's purple and orange and we go blue and red, that also will assist the table in regards to how we're going to call that, if that makes sense. Does that answer the? Okay. All right. So yes, that extra level of talking and explaining things may also assist the table when you do the extra play. Okay?
Yeah, I think with that, and I don't think that Tim minds, but depending on where you're at, what level, who you work for, right? They may say, no, we want you to call them purple, right? We want you to call them whatever the color is, okay? Yellow, gold, right? If you find that one as well. So I don't think that he minds, as long as you and your partner communicate it and you're on the same page. Let the table know. Again, preventative communication, right? Hey, they're going to be wearing purple, but we're going to call them blue tonight. Okay, just so we know. But again, just communicate that. I don't think as a crew at any level that we can over communicate. Right? It's all, you got each other on the court and you got the table that's going to help you, right? But be good communicators. That's going to help us go a long way. Keep us out of the soup.
All right, so that was kind of the last part of the jump ball. All right, we covered a lot in regards to pre-jump ball before we even get on the floor, right prior to jump ball, while we're all on the floor waiting for somebody to toss the ball, and post jump ball. All right, so the ball goes up. Tim talked about last week in reference to the guy in front of the table will almost always go to lead. All right, he tosses the ball. If they go that way, he's going to take off, and the guy who tossed will automatically become trail, whether it's going this way or that way. All right, he just circles out in reference to that. All right? We'll talk a little bit about reporting and switching, that kind of stuff, but because you'll also talk about that when you're doing your foul reporting, we're not going to talk too much about that. All right? So let's say we are on our way up the floor this way. We have a trail here and a lead up here. We're going this direction. We have a foul, say, right here in the center of the court by the defense. All right? We can put the ball in play, and we can put the ball and play it at either side.
Actually, that brings up a good point. You know, in high school, the adjusted rule for spot throw-ins on anything other than out of bounds. Okay? So if the ball goes out of bounds, the ball is put back in play where it went out of bounds. But other than that, there are 8 spots on the floor where the ball can be put in play only. Okay, so you have 2, 1 on either side of the basket on that end. You have 1 on either side of the basket on that end for the end line throw-ins, and then you have 2 on each sideline for sideline throw-ins at the 28-foot mark. Okay, so any violation, foul, timeout, okay, anything like that is going to one of those 8 spots, depending on where the ball was when the whistle, went off for the situation. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? That's new. Okay, that's for everything but out of bounds. Everything.
What about a throw-in violation on an out-of-bounds play?
It goes to one of the 8 spots. Yeah, if it's a throw-in violation, if you're in the corner for a throw-in, you're coming back to the 28-foot. Yep, which is weird, but that's the new rule. Yeah, backcourt too. So if there's a foul in the backcourt, okay, it goes to the 28-foot line in the backcourt on whichever side is closer to where the foul occurred. Yep. If it happens,
Inline too, if it's,
and the other thing is anything. The other change, which is kind of new, is there used to be a trapezoid. It was basically a triangle up to the top of the key and down to the end line on either side that signified whether it was end line throw or sideline throw. Now it's the entire three-point line. Anything that's inside the three-point line to the end line goes to a end line throw. And if it's outside the three-point line, even in the far corner, it goes to a sideline throw. Okay?
Tim, all courts don't have a 28-foot line.
That's true, but
So
you should
just
be able to
use your imagination.
Yeah.
most of them
Do
have
the
a
best you
ball
can.
line, though.
Do the best you can. Or you can take if you've got a bench, the bench should be theoretically the first chair should be at the 28-foot line, right? So, okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so any questions again on that? Because again, you'll get a lot of the foul reporting, where to go, that kind of stuff in another pod. So, all right?
Especially on the shooting side. Absolutely.
No, I just kind of want to go back just for a second in terms of with the jump ball and all that, right? I have a checklist. Okay, so in my head, I'm going through and I'm saying, book's good, table's good, clock is good, 10 players are good, partner is good. And then are we going to go? Right? If any of that stuff's off, we don't want to start our game. Okay? And then even with that, we talk about, Josh mentioned the designated thrower, right? The crew chief doesn't always have to throw the ball up. I know a lot of times we get that ego, like, yeah, I'm the crew chief tonight, I'm tossing it up, right? If my toss sucks, and I know that my toss sucks, I got to do what's right for the game. Hey, Josh, my toss sucks, man. Are you good with the tossing it tonight? Hopefully his toss is good, and he says yes, because if he says my toss sucks, I'm like, damn, man.
Rock, paper, scissors.
We may go that way, right? So just do what's right for the game. Okay?
Sometimes you have 2 games, one game you're coming up with the rule, one time.
Right. But just that's part of self-awareness. Okay? That's part of knowing what my strengths and what my weaknesses are. It's okay that we've got, certain things that I know I'm really good. Oh man, I'm really good at working the arc in the trail position. I feel confident there in the lead. Maybe not so much, but again, with the toss, we want to get our game started off, right? And we got to have the courage that if we're the non-tossing official and that toss isn't good, call it back. Okay? Call it back. I know it's a bruise and it's a hit to the ego, but again, we got to put the game first, my crew second, and me third. Okay?
Yeah, as
So,
Corey said,
sir.
You made a segment a minute ago where you said that depending on the game, it would be a one-hand or two-hand toss.
Yes.
You've got your foot now. On some courts, you may not have a clear
Why would
mark
the
to you.
difference? Is it just
Here you
level?
do.
So, yes, so if I have two guys that are Corey Bailey's height, at almost 7 foot, I've got to get my elbows up to protect me and protect the ball.
They come to half court stop.
Because
And they will move. And I like to come up.
I'm not too short, but I'm not really that gifted vertically, right?
About here.
So that gives me an extra
Kind of split the
second.
difference between the
If it's a high school, a lot of smaller guys, I'll just toss it straight.
But there, you're not solid there either.
I need this extra space to make sure I've got room in here, and I'll use this and I'll kind of spread them out, and then I'll take a half step back to give me a little bit of room to third animal.
Yeah, and make sure to that point, we're not letting one player get in here and kind of Debo the center circle, right? Get them on their side of the floor, get in there, like you said, get your elbows out, depending on what you have, and go. Whether it's one, whether it's two, it's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're confident with.
Hey guys, that's something you can practice at home. Get you a basketball, just keep tossing it, you know? Just play, you know, in front of the mirror. I mean, things like that, just you do it on your own. Yes, sir.
But we just have to make sure that once that ball goes up, it's go time, right? So we have, violations that happen, we have fouls that happen, and it's hard. So as the outside official, we got to make sure, because if I'm in here, it's coming from this way, if I'm in here and I'm throwing it up, I may not see a grab, a hold, because we see that where we're trying to get an advantageous position where somebody may grab, right? Players around the circle, we're here and that ball comes, we're holding, right? As soon as it goes up, we're jumping in front. Those type of things. We've got back courts that happen right away, right? We get tip from A catches in the back court, flips it to B, right? We have an immediate back court. But if we're not ready to go, that's the type of stuff that we miss. Okay? So we got to be ready to go.
Quick question.
Sir.
Did that happen? That can happen. Do you change the arrow?
So the arrow will, so if A tips it and A grabs it, now A possesses, which means the arrow is B's. Okay? Now we have an immediate turnover. It's going to stay B's arrow. Right? But again, those are the type of things, right, that are happening. It doesn't happen all the time, but we got to be ready for it to happen. Because again, that's the type of stuff that gets our game off on the wrong foot when we have that immediate turnover violation, something happens and we miss. Right? And usually we get that, ooh, man, that doesn't, and a lot of times we got to trust our gut. When it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Okay? But again, when we're ready to go, when we have a good pregame, and we get out on the floor, and we're focused on what we need to do, we get off to a good start. But when we're standing on the sidelines and we're just kind of smelling the popcorn and, we're thinking about something else or whatever the case, when we're supposed to be watching the players in warm-ups, right? Do we got jewelry on? Do we got anything illegal, right? And pardon me, but I'm not 100% up on high school in terms of, the leg sleeves and braces and if they have colors and what they're allowed and not allowed to wear. But that's stuff that we need to be aware of. Are we properly equipped, right? We're watching player tendencies, who's right-handed, who's left-handed, who's primary ball handlers, right? Those are things we need to be thinking about versus, man, I can't wait to get out of here tonight, or we got to get this game over because I want to go watch Monday Night Football or whatever it is, okay? We got to be focused from the door.
Josh, can I bring up, can you explain it? Yeah. No, white, what you said, blue, white, going this way, whatever. Explain to them in case you do go the wrong way, how you handle that.
Okay.
Let's say blue scores 4 points at the wrong basket.
Okay. because we lined them up incorrectly.
Right.
All right. So that is an official error. Okay. The points still count for blue because we pointed them in that direction. We set them up to go that
way.
That direction in error. So everything that has occurred up to that point still counts. So if blue scored, even though it was the wrong basket, they still count. Those points still count for blue. All right. We will then fix ourselves, everybody, because we are just as at fault as anybody else. We'll simply reset everything wherever we figure this out at, and say, all right, blue, your actual basket is that direction. And then from that point on, if blue still decides to shoot at this basket, then the points will count for the other team. Right. If that makes sense. Okay? All right. So we talked a little bit about out of bounds. We've got can't really get to the end line, so we'll imagine that this is the key, and we have an inbound. Okay. They talked about those 4 points. 4 on the end lines so that we can do inbound. All right. So if this is the paint, we don't want to inbound the ball under the basket, so we have to go to one of the sides. All right. So we'll go. Let's say we'll go to this side. All right. So positioning on the inbound is very important. All right. So if it's at one of those 4 points on the end line, so it's right there, right there, right there, right there, I'm really restricted on where I need to put the ball, because the rule book says right there is that point, 3 foot outside the lane line. Okay, pretty hard and fast. Okay, so I tell he or she to stand there, and then we can discuss, are we bouncing or handing? All right. So if the play is going to stay here where I'm at, okay. Say we're in this front court and the play is going to stay here, I will probably hand it to them. Okay? If we're going and maybe there's pressure and I need to see additional players, I may take a half step back and bounce it. Okay? That's my preference. If we're staying, I'm going to hand it. If we're going, I'm going to bounce it, just to give myself a little more room, more vision of the floor itself. All right. Same thing on the sideline. All right. If it's we'll finish up here on the end line. Say it's an end line that went out of bounds. He talked about if it goes out of bounds, it has to be inbounded where it went out of bounds. Let's say it's in this deep corner. All right. They like to say they would like to have the officials box in all of the players. Okay? For me, it makes no sense to have the player here and me out here if I'm still responsible for half of the key inside here that I may have to call a foul on. All right? So for me, I will probably hand out. Okay? I can take a half step back to make sure I have no violations. But I also have a lot of in here to worry about, because if I get blocked out and that thrower in is blocking my vision of mayhem and madness that is occurring in the paint, I may not be able to see or call something that is happening inside the paint. All right? Do you have anything in regards to inside, outside, on end lines?
Again, it's just a matter of if the ball goes out deep in the corner, and to Josh's point, we're going to put them at that spot. But we've got to think about what's coming next, right? Where are we going to get hurt? We're leaving our partner out to dry if we try to go outside and keep them boxed in, because there's just way too much going on in this action area. So like he said, put them outside, stay in, give them the ball, right? Now, it's 1 yard. 3 is different, right? 3 is different. But at the same time, again, if that ball is all the way out there, and that's where it went out of bounds, why are we bringing them all the way in, right? We can be defended when we enforce the rule, okay? There's times where we can apply common sense, but in that case, we're giving the offense an advantage if we're moving them in and not giving them the ball where it went out of bounds. One other thing I'll mention in terms of handing the ball, bouncing the ball. I work on the women's side. Okay, if I'm working a men's game and I've got the ball and player is right here and I'm going to give him the ball, or I'm putting it in his chest, I'm giving him the ball. If I'm working a women's game, I will never do this. If I'm working a women's game, which I do, I'm going like this. I'm coming all the way across my body to give her the ball, to keep myself, right?
So when you walk up across,
For a women's game, I go across because I don't want to do anything I shouldn't.
You guys are going this direction.